didn't see the old day player. I saw Ruth, Gehrig, Cobb, Hornsby. They put numbers on the board I can't comprehend. I just don't know.
Right.
And I didn't see them, but they had to be awful, awful good. Now the players that I have seen. Let's take Reggie Jackson. Reggie's probably in the top 2 or 3 strongest hitters with a bat in their hand that I've ever been associated with. He also had the ability to rise to occasions in World Series and playoff games and to carry his team for a 2-week period late in the year. He also became consistent towards the end.
Well, that's not too shabby a start. He's still playing, and I know that he can still add numbers to his record. Who's next?
Oh, Don, we got to throw Pete Rose in there. Pete probably played the game with more intensity than any man I've ever seen. He also had the ability to watch a baseball. I stole from Pete Rose a little bit about how critical watching a baseball is. This intense concentration should allow him to break Ty Cobb's all-time hit record. Carl Yastrzemski has got to be included. His numbers are impressive. Again, a man with intense concentration. The thing that sticks in my mind is a man that adjusted his stance several times and at age 43 adjusted it again and is very successful.
Well, Yaz is a great selection. You know, every time you go into Boston and you look at a press guide, you look at the press notes or something, like Carl's either breaking or adding to his own personal record, and that's going to be even more because, of course, he's still playing. So you've got Jackson, you've got Rose, you've got Yastrzemski, and...
I'm going to go to Steve Garvey, who's a favorite of mine because he does so many things that I talk about, and he's been good for a long period of time, and he's going to add to those totals, too.
And, of course, Garvey is the type of player that I can appreciate, and I know you can appreciate, because he never misses a game. He plays day in and day out.
Well, you know that I'm not going to leave George Brett out of there.
I know that. And, Georgie, you know, you look at George and you look at his youth and you look at what he has accomplished at such a young age. And if we can be sitting here 10 years from now and saying, who's the next man, George Brett might be #1 on your list because it's infinity what he can do.
Don, we talk about these hitters, and I use the word professional hitters, the phrase, and they are all professional hitters. I'm going to go to a guy named Mike Schmidt, who might be combining consistency with power now.
That's a pretty good choice right there, Charlie, because Mike Schmidt is really kind of a rarity in what you see today. Here's a big, strong guy, also an infielder, and runs well, but also has the great power. No question about that. Good choice. As we go down the line, you have who?
I have a Hall of Famer from Pittsburgh that you might be familiar with.
You wouldn't be talking about Roberto Clemente, would you?
The one and only.
Boy, he was a tough out. And there's a man that I really thought at times you wondered how in the world he ever did. He would be, you know, like his head would go north, his legs would go south, and he did a line drive back to the middle, and just had great control, I guess, over that upper part of the body, which you talked about.
Whatever it was, he had it because he was an awful successful hitter.
Oh, awful, and certainly rightfully so in the Hall of Fame. Okay, let's go on down the line a little further.
Let's go to Mickey Mantle.
Mickey Mantle. You know, I never thought that I would see a man go down the baseline any faster from the left side than Mickey Mantle for a big man. And I think what made things so great about Mantle is the natural ability from both sides was unbelievable.
Well, Don, I looked a little closer, maybe. I thought he was a real superb hitter, right-handed, and left-handed was the added one. I think he was a natural right-hand hitter and possibly went left-handed, say at age 12 or 13. But if he had had to bat right-handed all the time, I still think his stats would have been as good.
Boy, he's a great athlete. I guess that is the key word right there. All right, on down the line.
I got another guy that you know a little bit, and I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame, but I'm sure he will be, Willie McCovey.
You got me nervous already. Willie McCovey, he beat on me like a tom-tom for a couple of years. I'm telling you, he just wore me out. But they called him Stretch. And believe me, if I could get a pitch up there 60 feet 6 inches, well, he had some kind of way of stretching that maybe 360 feet 6 inches somewhere. Great. That's a good choice. You're right. Well, Charlie, we've got 9. Now let's go to 10.
Well, a man that you have faced many, many times from Cincinnati, starting with F.
Oh, I know, Frank Robinson, another Hall of Famer, and again, rightfully so. You know, there's some of these guys I think I've helped get into the Hall of Fame, or I'm going to help them get in one way or the other. You know, there's a guy that changed his stance after the first couple of years. He came to the major leagues, and the rest is history. All right, down the line.
Willie Mays.
Oh, another one. I helped him, too. You know, the greatest thing I think about Mays, and I think it's a great tribute to a man, when he made the statement, he said, if I can't do it with a bat today, I'll beat you with my glove. And many days he did just that.
Or his legs.
Or his legs, that's exactly right. Boy, no question about that. All right, let's go on now.
The Yankee Clipper.
You know, I wish I would have had a chance to play against Joe DiMaggio. He quit just before I came to the major leagues, but charisma, and to go along with a great player, I guess you couldn't ask for more.
I think that he did it effortlessly, like you said, banks in there. There was just no muscular.
That's what they say. They say just to watch him glide across the outfield was worth the price of admission right there. But Charlie, that's a great group of 12.
Don, I'm not done yet. My best 3 are yet to come. The first being a man that played for St. Louis. Maybe you know, I don't know.
St. Louis, well, it's got to be, they call him the man, Stan Musial.
Stan the man.
He was a great hitter, just a super hitter. Not only, I mean, he was the type of hitter that you advocate, that can hit balls to the opposite field, could drive it with power, would double you to death, or turn around and hit it out of the ballpark. Well, what a tough out.
Kind of a nice way to hit.
It is, and his numbers prove it.
Yep.
All right, Charlie, we've got 2 left. These are the final 2 left. No more bad counts.
No more.
Okay. We've got 2 left. Let's go to number 2 on the list, on your all-time list.
On my all-time list. Well, I watched this guy. I was fortunate enough to be on the same team and watch him day after day for a couple of years. And he also broke a home run record.
Oh.
And we're getting closer now.
Oh, yeah. I know. You haven't mentioned his name yet, and it had to come up because I gave him 17 of those. And I think that's more than any. I know it's more than anyone else ever gave me. You're talking about Henry Aaron. Hank Aaron, and I guess it had to be just such a thrill to play with him.
To watch him, just effortlessly, he did it. He made it look easy. You brought that up at one time. A little flick out there, and the ball went 400 feet.
And how many times I've seen that flick.
Along with that flick, Don, was one of the greatest weight shifts I've ever seen. It was an honor to play with him.
Well, I guess we've narrowed it down to number 1. And I know that a lot of people have got to be sitting and thinking, and I really don't know who your number 1 pick is. I thought we had 12 to start with, and now this is going to be 15 on the list, but number 1 in the heart of Charlie Lau.
Ted Williams.
Oh, well, that had to be.
What can I say? Last man to hit 400, 344 lifetime average, 521 home runs in a ballpark that was hard to hit him in, the greatest strike zone I've ever seen, and a dead pull hitter. A true student of hitting if there ever was one. How appropriate it was that on his last time at bat in Fenway Park in September 1960, that Williams would end his career with a towering shot over the right field wall. Ted Williams, my all-time greatest hitter.
In all of the baseball circles, that he's got to be recognized as the number 1 man.
Don, I think he did it under very trying circumstances at times. He put those great numbers up there.
Oh, that's so true, especially missing the war years. That was the big key right there. Charlie, we thank you for your dozen, whether it be inflated, whether it be the baker's dozen, the Lau's dozen, or whatever, but it has been fun, and I really